How have you been since we last recorded in June of 2024?
Well, I had a whole baby,
Right.
like a whole baby, not like a
Well,
half
baby.
a baby, not a piece of baby. It's a whole baby. Yo, yo, yo.
What up? What up?
What's up, coworkers? It's been a minute.
Hey, coworkers.
I missed them.
It's been a
Or
while.
y'all.
Yeah, we know y'all missed us. We missed y'all. So we are finally back for 2025.
Episode.
We're not even going to count episodes because I have no idea. I just know we're close to 100, but we're not there
We
yet.
almost there.
Yeah, so we are back, guys. I don't want to call it a new season. We just back and better. And yeah, I hope you guys are ready to, jump back in and have conversations with us.
For everybody that's just now joining, we're going to put on a great show for you guys because this is what we do. We talk to all of our coworkers, and for those who haven't seen us in a while, we ain't going to go this long without spending some time with our beautiful, wonderful, amazing coworkers. So shout out to y'all for sticking by, and shout out to me and Dana for coming through with the goods.
Yeah, we came back. Just a lot has happened as far as life goes. We gonna get into that. I am using a virtual background just to spice it up. If you're listening, you do see my it's like the little shoes popping up. That's
The
just,
chancla, she be spanking the dog with it.
nah, it's a painting. So that's gonna come in and out. Don't mind that. But all right, let's get back into it with a check-in. So Aaron, how have you been since we last recorded in June of 2024?
Well, I had a whole baby,
Right.
like a whole baby, not like a
Well,
half a baby, not a piece of baby. It's a whole baby. Honestly, he's crawling and everything right now. Like we had a milestone. You feel me? Like it's not just I had a baby. It's like I had a brand new life that happened in the last 8 months,
Mhm.
or 6 months, however many months it was. It felt like a lifetime.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things that just happened is just mental. I just got into a different space mentally where it's like I'm a little bit more focused. I'm a little bit more on my grind.
Discipline.
Yeah, been a lot more disciplined, been a lot more just ready to take leaps in life, ready to take that next step. And I'm also working on undersharing. Like I'm not trying to give too much to the world anymore. Like I was a big oversharer. Like you can know everything and anything about me. Everyone's my friend and everybody's part of my life. And I just realized that shit is exhausting. And I'm done being
About
exhausted based on other people's energy.
doing that with strangers or just in
Just
general?
anybody. Like I've always been open to friendship and open to new experiences and new people. And it's just, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
Like 2025 is all about the era of me. Like I believe in selfishness, right? Not selfish to the point of negativity, but selfish to the point where I can't be the best version of me for y'all if I'm not the best version of me for me. So I got to look out for me a little bit, and I just got to make sure that if I'm going to be the best version of me, I got to look out. So
Mhm.
sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Shout out to you.
Shout out to me. What's up
I
with
would
you?
say for me, whew, yeah, it's definitely felt like, I don't want to say a lifetime ago, but a lot has happened. I would say the last part of 2024 for me, it was a lot mentally. As far as like mentally and my emotions, it was just a lot of things happening. I would say the only thing that really kept me focused was the gym. So I feel like I'm really in a really great shape and like my body and how things are looking. But yeah, like the gym just kept me focused and disciplined. And there's just been a lot going on in my personal life, work life. I don't want to get into the details of that because been there, done that. And like you mentioned, the oversharing, I don't think it's always necessary to put your whole life on social media. And that goes into just like how my Instagram is structured. Like I don't really post that much on Instagram. Like I'll do my stories and stuff like that. But as far as my day to day and constantly putting up new posts and stuff like that, like I just think I'm in a space too where I don't want to overshare because I don't want people to just have these assumptions like they know you and know what's going on based off pictures and like maybe like a 15-second clip. So I do think we live in a world where oversharing is the norm and people are like putting out all information as far as making Instagram accounts for like their babies and stuff like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I get it if you want to generate money from social media because, everybody wants to be a content creator and they don't necessarily want to have like trades or even go to college, like the new generation. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, I think there is a sense of just peace when you don't overshare online. So, and I've never been the person to overshare anyway, even when it comes to like my family and maybe close friends, I'll tell you the details of what's going on. But as far as like mentally where I'm at and like my finances and things like that, like I don't overshare at all because I just feel like yes, you can be a shoulder to lean on and talk to, but can you truly like help me? Like, can you help me out of this situation? And most times it's no. So I don't feel the need to constantly tell someone all of my business. But yeah, that was what I was going through the last of 2024. 2025, I am just in a much better state mentally. I think the gym, like I said, has helped a lot with that. And then trading too, like as crazy as it sounds, the thing with options trading on a day to day, like it really like highlights your decision making. And if you know how to either sell or buy at a certain point, and when you're not trying to be greedy or, you're scared to buy in. It's like you got to take those risks. So I think that has also helped me with like my decision making in a day to day. You really got to just think more before just doing something impulsive. So yeah, I think that's where I'm at right now mentally.
From an advice perspective, what would you say is the most impulsive thing that you've done as a trader, though? Like, if somebody wanted to hear you out and be like, yo, that
Um,
sounds dope, I want to get into that. How do I not be impulsive? What's like, give us an example. Not too much. Don't overshare.
I'm gonna overshare when it comes to trading. Like I don't mind that because there is a point where I've actually had a lot of people reach out to me asking me like, "Yo, can you teach me this skill and like what you do exactly, not necessarily how much I make, because not to toot my own horn, but my technical analysis skills with like reading charts and knowing where the stock price is going is kind of like A1. Like it always hits. I want to say probably like 8 out of 10 times. So as far as impulsive, I do want to let people know if you trade or you're an investor's long term, but like day trading, that's, like holding a contract for about a couple days or a couple weeks, right? So I want to let you know in the beginning, you're going to lose money. Okay. Like that's just a given. So have at least like to start trading, I want to say at least like $500 that you're not afraid to lose because you're going to lose money because it goes back to the decision making. Like it's all brand new. You think you know what you're doing, but you don't actually know how the stocks are going to move because it's very volatile. And you have to just get used to seeing like the stock price go up and down, but you have to give yourself enough time on that contract that you anticipated going in your direction. So it's never like a straight shot where it's going to hit your stock price. Like it's always an up and down gradual thing. And I feel like that can relate to life too, but let me
Make
stay.
it. Make
Yeah,
it
but
really.
let me, I just want to make this point before I go
Okay.
to that, turn that way. Um, yeah, so you're going to lose money for sure, but you have to keep going. Like you can't just lose all your money because every time I tell people that I'm a day trader, they be like, oh, I tried that and I lost money. I don't ever say anything. I'm just like, okay, I'm sorry that happened to you, but like I'm a successful trader and I'm constantly building that skill so I get even better and have confidence in yourself because I'm currently reading The Intelligent Investor right now. And one of the main underlining messages that I got from it is I'm like halfway through. It's a thick ass book too. So how it relates to life, right? Is with anything, you're going to suck at it, right? Like you're going to be bad. Yes.
I'm
Or
not bad at a lot
should
of
I
things, so
should
I
I
can't
say
relate.
pause? You gonna suck at it, pause? But yeah, that's true. Like for a new business venture, like you're not gonna be great. You know, like you may have the idea in your head, like, oh, I wanna try making clothes, or I wanna, be a real estate agent or whatever you do. Like you're not gonna be the best, but you have to keep going. And I think when you have that internal confidence in firing yourself, where it's like, yeah, I know this is what's going to happen, but let me just, educate myself more, keep going, talk to people who's in that field. Like you build up that momentum. So that's just literally just like trading. Like there's been a couple people that I follow and they have their own strategies that have helped me where I'm putting all the pieces together, making it work for me. So, yeah, like just keep going.
Something that you said was super like it resonated with me a lot, and it was about failure, right? And I think a lot of us we get to this point where we've been students for at minimum 13 years of our lives, right? And all we learn in school is you got to pass and you can't fail. You
You
got
know
to
what's
pass and
crazy?
you can't fail.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about life is literally failure.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be steps and steps and steps and steps and steps for you to get to that next level. And if we get into this mentality that we can't fail, we're never going to be successful.
Right.
Like,
And when it comes to,
go
not to
ahead.
cut you off, I just want to say this one point. When it comes to school and like those standardized testing, I suck at testing.
Because you're not smart. No, I'm just
Listen, if school and standardized testing determines if you're smart or not, but it does determine if you go to the next grade, which is crazy. Whatever. But yeah, I always used to always get anxious right before I would take a test, to the point where I would keep reading a question over and over and it confused me even more. So I
Mhm.
was just on some like, let me select C and B because those had a higher probability of being right. But yeah, like when it came to standardized testing, that shit was terrible. And to bring it back to just like life in general, I think that's weird how in school, you're not necessarily meant to feel like that, but when you do have your own business and stuff, like that is how you become successful, is you do have to fail in order to be like a successful entrepreneur. So I just think that's just a crazy social construct that they've, set up that people don't actually realize.
So I'm constantly hiring younger people, and obviously they don't have too much work experience, but
Mhm.
they have education experience, and they just come in so unprepared. They can't take direction. You can't tell them nothing, all because they're not being taught properly, right? They're not being taught like, hey, you got to work your way up to certain things. So they get to this point where you tell them that they're not successful and their feelings are hurt.
I have
Like,
thoughts on that.
go ahead, give me.
So I've heard in different scenarios, and they've actually done studies. This is just all what is it? Not a direct quote. This is
Mm-hmm.
a phrase
Yep.
where I know a lot of companies now, they are leaning towards not necessarily hiring Gen Zs, like
Mm-hmm.
straight out of college, just because there's been studies shown that their social skills are terrible. Like they
Horrible.
can't hold conversations, they don't, have eye contact, the professionalism is not there. And it's like, how can you trust to have an employee where they just cannot talk to somebody verbally and not have those communication skills. So my thoughts on that is I think they just came up in a different time. Like I truly feel like they were that generation where parents started to just place tablets in front of them,
And
right?
coddle them.
And coddle them. And they do have a sense of entitlement. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you could say that every generation after even the baby boomers and then the Gen Ys, like they always say that the next generation has that level of entitlement. But I've seen it in Gen Zs to the point where it's kind of scary because they expect things to just be given to them. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to sound like a broken record, I swear, but like I do think hard work is necessary. And when I say hard work, I don't mean like manual labor and just like, working in a warehouse, like something that strenuous. I'm saying like, you have to do your homework. Like you do have to research, you have to study. Like let's say, for example, because I work in IT, right? And I want to say, like when it came to finding a new job, like I've been doing contract work for a minute, and just being in the job market, it forced me to like up my skill set when it came to finding a job. Because before, like I always knew when it came to interviews, like my interviewing skills top notch. Okay. Like everybody liked me and thought I was like personable. But when it came to that technical piece, like one thing I was always getting was you're not like your technical conversations just aren't what we're looking for. But that doesn't negate the fact that I didn't know what I was doing, because I'm one of those hands-on visual people where I'll show you exactly, how to do a specific thing that you asked me. But like verbally explaining it technically has always been like where I fall short. And I knew that. So, the past like few months, like I really took it upon myself to spend time on YouTube University, and I brought a notebook at the
Is
download
that a real
store.
school?
It is a real school
Okay.
nowadays, YouTube University. Yeah. Mhm. So, yeah, I'm like, yo, I need to like stop playing around and just like, I gotta grind. I gotta like get to it. So I brought a notebook. I've been spending, well, I used to spend like 2 hours a day just like looking up videos on different like IT cloud things that I needed for my jobs that I was going for, just so that I knew like the conversations I needed to have and like certain keywords I needed to say. So I'm writing notes. I'm like researching the company so that I can like bring up certain points about them, and they'll be like, oh, wow, okay, so she did her research. So I do think that's important when it comes to the job market nowadays. And another thing when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's like, yeah, everybody want to be an entrepreneur, which is great. But I do feel like you have to have those skills of working for somebody else
Mhm.
first. Like that literally will create your routine of getting tasks done, building up your communication to work with different kinds of people. Like there's levels to it. So it goes back to what you were saying, where like they just automatically, assume they should get everything. And it's like, no, you literally have to grind and work your way up in life, not even just corporate America.
And you made such a good point about pace. Like
Mhm.
you just gotta know how to work. You gotta know how to work at a sense of urgency. And it's like people just lack a sense of urgency. And I love referencing like working with my son, like when we play basketball and different things like that. And I work on him practicing and do different routines and whatnot. Muscle memory and game speed are the two most important things that I always talk about. Muscle memory is just know how to do the fucking job. You
Yeah.
get in, you know how to shoot the ball, you know how to type on a typewriter, or not a typewriter. How old am I? Shit. You know how to type on a computer, you know
It's,
how to hammer something, you know how to
Mhm.
build something, right? Muscle memory. Establish what the fuck you're doing.
Mhm.
And then pace. Like, I know we laughed about this on previous episodes, but if I have 8 hours, I should be able to get everything I needed to get done today in that 8 hours based on how I'm working, setting goals, setting a good guideline for how I'm going to get this done. If I need help, if I don't need help, etc.
Mhm.
And these kids just aren't doing it.
Yeah, and I would say when it comes to pace, like you mentioned, and having that strategy, something else that I learned from day trading is like every single day, I kind of map out my
Mm-hmm.
trading. Like I already know what companies that I'm anticipating to trade, and then where I'm planning on taking it, and then how much I'm spending on each trade. Like you have to have that level of discipline and knowing what you're doing before you just jump into anything. And when it comes to just starting a business, right? Like I do think, it's important to just try, because you're gonna, run into challenges like as you do it, right? Like you figure shit out as you go. But I also feel like you still need to start planning somewhere. Like you can't just go full throttle into something. Like even with trading, you have no idea what's going on and you ready to throw like 5 to 10 grand in the market.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you're guaranteed to lose all your money. And that goes down to like everyone who I've spoken to who's like, oh yeah, I've done trading and I've lost my money. And I'll be like, do you know how to read charts? Do you know what technical analysis is? And they'll be like, no, like they mainly traded based off the hype, right?
Mhm.
Like when it came to those meme coins and like, when Trump did his meme coin that hit $1 billion overnight, and then people who were still in those trades, you didn't sell when you were supposed to, you lost all your money.
Which is
Well,
why I don't touch that kind of shit because I'm
yeah,
gonna go with the hype.
yeah, no, meme coins or meme stocks, like that's the worst way to trade if that's your strategy. But yeah, I do just think that like you have to just have a sense of like strategy of whatever you're doing in life. And that's also helped me in my personal life when it comes to just building relationships. I don't even want to say dating, right? Because I'm so far from dating right now. But just like building those relationships with people, with any kinds of people, like friendships, potential partners, family. Like I just look at it from a broad perspective, and I'm like, okay, I take accountability. I'm like, yo, I'm not communicating much, so let me reach out more. Let me like spend time with this person more, whatever, so that I'm putting in that intention. I think that's important.
So I know this isn't part of our guidelines and our rubric and all that bullshit. You said something
We just
super
said
fucking
outlines are
interesting.
important, and you call
Yes.
it.
Hold on. We're deviating from the norm.
Before you start, we have our mascot that wants to say hi.
What's up? Honey. I know Honey's name.
Here's our mascot, Honey Bun.
Oh, that's a boy. So let me give him a high five.
He could get a kiss. He's
No,
a
I don't
baby.
kiss dogs. I ain't white.
He's a baby.
You
Okay.
kiss dogs?
I kiss him on his head, not on his lip.
Yeah, that's fucking gross. You
Yeah.
can lick his ass all day. But you said something super fucking interesting. How trading, and I can't speak on this because I don't trade. How trading relates very similar to choosing in a dating market or the friend market or just personal relationships. I want you to expound on that. How does that make sense? Make our coworkers understand like how you can pick and choose or how you can add some stock into this person or take stock out of that person. Like,
And stop. Yeah, you got to buy more and sell when it's time to sell. Yeah, but just to break it down even more, for
don't
example,
believe hype. No,
that too. That's number one. Like when people tell me they trade based off like memes and news, I'm like, worst thing to do. You're supposed to buy the rumor, sell the news. So
mm-hmm.
what that means specifically, that's like one-on-one trading. Um, and this is the technical side, fundamental side that I'm talking about. So by the time, most times the news that we get right on either Fox, CNN, a lot of that shit is number one, it already happened, or number two, it is propaganda. Like it is literally giving you some type of scare tactic so that you're just currently in a state of fear. And that goes into the plane crashing news that are always popping up. I want to get into that too. But back to trading. So when it comes to trading, for me, like it has helped me think more logically and also emotional, because I do feel like there's a balance in between the two. Like there was a point where I think I was just solely making decisions based off logic. And I feel like that was just my masculinity coming out more than my feminine, right? Because logic is masculine and emotional is feminine. Like that's a fact.
I thought women were smart, so I don't know the difference.
We are smart.
I didn't say it.
What the fuck are you trying to say?
You said logic is masculine and emotion is
Yeah, but
feminine.
everyone has a balance of both. Sometimes the other is more strong than each
I
other
got
when
you.
it comes to decision making, right? So with me, I've learned to balance the two, even though, trading does take a lot more logic. But when it comes to just like friendships and relationships, I do feel like you have to not be so like tunnel vision of how someone should be, like how they should be your friend, how they should be your partner. They shouldn't show up for you based off how you envision them to show up. Like I do think, no, relax. Let me finish. So, I think for me, I was just so rigid with that.
You
And
were.
calm down,
Go ahead,
okay?
go ahead, go ahead.
So, yeah, like I just feel like if we're talking about partnership, let's just talk about that because
Hmm.
what the people always want to hear is like relationship based conversation. So I'm just throw it in a little bit. Um, yeah. So when it came to just partners, I'm like, if you are not showing up and this way, and I'm not even talking about the physical and financial. I am talking about physical because you do have to be at least 6'2". That's just a deal breaker. Um, yeah, but if you don't like, because for me, like, I was on some like, if you're not where I'm at or higher as far as ambition goes and career, then I just wouldn't even give you the time of day.
As you shouldn't. That's your standard.
As I
But
should,
continue.
but I do feel like, and I kind of said this on previous episodes where like, yeah, you have to have that ambition factor, but you have to be working towards that too. Like you can say you're ambitious and like you want X, Y, Z, but how is that showing up in your life? Like, are you taking those steps to, you know, get more education? Are you working on yourself as far as like maybe going to therapy because you know you have some like certain flaws and things that like you don't like about yourself from like childhood? Like what steps are you doing to make sure you're a better person rather than looking to bring somebody into your life and like, I don't know, you're just looking to like lean on them for support. Like I do just feel like you have to do that like self-love and inner work stuff too
Hmm.
in order for me to be like, okay, yeah, like you are working towards a better version of yourself. So let me not automatically like, and this is something that I've always been someone who don't look at the potential of people or date with rose colored glasses. Like that's just not something that I think is conducive to finding a partner that genuinely like, you know, wants to be successful in life. Like you have to take people for who they are. And if they are showing up as in working to be a better version of themselves, then great. But if not, then like don't have these fairy tale um, you know, situations or scenarios in your head of like, oh, we're gonna be like this, we're gonna do that. Like, no, they're
Hmm.
not that, and they never are gonna turn into that just because you want them to.
Word.
So, yeah, I would say just giving people space to be who they are, and then you know, take it or leave it, take it or leave it.
So, do you believe that people get into stocks just because versus getting into something with the future forecast? Because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like people get into shit just because, not just to say it's a meme or to say it's the news, but I just feel like doing it. You know, I'm supposed to be in a relationship. I'm supposed to be a stockbroker. I'm supposed
Yeah.
to XYZ. I'm supposed to work this way and be a lawyer, a doctor,
Yeah. So
etc.
we can just to answer the first question with the stock piece. If you're an investor, for example, and you know technology is the future, like
Mm-hmm.
as much as people try to deny it or act like, you know, it's not happening, like technology is just going to become more integrated in everything we do on a day to day.
Mm-hmm.
So the top technology companies, we got NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple, um, there's literally a whole sector, right? So usually if you are just buying stock and you're just an investor, like there are certain price points you would like it to come down to in order for you to buy for the future.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's important because that's what I do when it comes to like being an investor. Um, go ahead.
Now, I'm going to segue to that relationship piece.
Mhm.
Is there a point in time in a partner or a friend where this is the time where I should buy into this person? Is it
What about friendship?
okay?
So how it relates to friendship, um, and I think I've experienced this where people kind of just keep you around
Mm-hmm.
because they see the potential in you. Like people know when you have that like factor about you, or they just see that you're going to be successful in some way. Like they just have that inkling. So I think a great way to tell when You have a quote unquote friend who is kind of keeping you in the back burner until, you become that successful person that they can kind of be like, oh, I know so and so, or like they kind of want to ride your coattails and just be there while you are living in this life that you have created for yourself. Um, I would say number one, if they are always busy, but yet they're constantly out with other people, right? But they don't invite you. Um, Another way to tell is if it's kind of like if it's a one-way street, like we've talked about in the past, where like you feel like you're going out of your way to always check in, but it's never reciprocated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then what else? Yeah, but I do think the signs do be there when they're kind of just like keeping you there, but they don't want to really treat you as like a close friend because it's like, let me just wait until, they're worth being around.
Something that I've discovered about friendship, and it's actually tied into social media a little bit, is you pick and choose your friends as you get older, right? Circumstances, situations. We're all in the same sports team. We're all in the same class, right? You're my friend because I see you all the time. Social media actually provided with context, right?
Hold on. Before you say your point, I don't think seeing someone, like, for example, right, at
I'm
work.
saying making friends. I'm not saying being friends. I'm saying making
Okay.
friends.
But do you feel like if you're constantly seeing someone like at work or in the gym that you automatically should be friends?
No, but what you automatically feel is camaraderie. Like, oh, you from what's the name? I'll give you
Yeah.
an example. So me and Ashima just got off a cruise, and we kept seeing this guy. Right, his name is Nate. So we met Nate first day we was on. Yeah, first day we was on the
Podcast
cruise.
information?
I don't know. I gave him a podcast on the cruise, by the way. It was a long story, but I met Nate first day. We did trivia, and Nate was cool. Then we kept seeing Nate, and we kept seeing Nate, and we kept seeing Nate, and Nate and I felt inclined to speak to each other to the point where Nate was like, you know what? I'm going to show you this secret area on the boat at 4 o'clock in the morning. It was
What?
pitch black. Me not knowing if Nate is a genuine person, I felt like Nate was going to throw me off the fucking boat.
Right. 4 a.m. is kind of.
Right? So I decided to record it because he ain't about to throw me off this fucking boat. But that's how friendship works, right? Friendship works in a way where it's like I constantly am bombarded with your presence. And we have similarities and we share interests in certain things. So we should like each other. But do we like each other? Or do we like the same things? Because that doesn't mean anything. I have friends that I've had for life. We don't relate at all, but they're my friend because they put work in. They understand me on a visceral level. They don't just like what I like. Because the people that like what I like, they're not my friends. They're just niggas that like what I like.
Right. So are you and Nate like the Gel Exchange contact information?
Absolutely not. Yo, no? Nate. Nah, Nate was about to kill us. He trusts Nate.
Okay. He was just a cruise friend for the time being.
Yes.
In the moment.
I don't even think he was a cruise friend. I think we just so happened to be on a cruise together, and he kept seeing me, and I kept seeing him, so he felt inclined. He was friendly.
And that relates to me saying like people that you work with, because to be honest, every corporate job that I've had, I probably had like barely like one friend at work. Mm-hmm. And that's because I don't think, like, I didn't really relate to my coworkers for the most part, and a lot of them were men.
Except for y'all, we relate to y'all.
Yeah, y'all coworkers we relate to. But my real life coworkers, like even the women that I've worked with, we just seemed so different as far as our lives. Like usually they did have children, they were married. They were in a different space in their lives. We would have small talk conversation about like shows and like, things that were on the news, like that kind of conversation, which, it's just like, we might as well talk since we're here. Mm-hmm. But to say they were a friend, nah, like there's probably maybe like one woman, Corlette, shout out to her, who
I was about to say, because you shouted her out on podcast.
she
She better
still
be a friend.
she still checks in with me. So she'll still text me. She sends me a lot of older people, they'll send those it's like you have to do this for a good luck. Like
Mm-hmm.
those chain text messages. So she'll send me those. Or like a check in like meme or whatever. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's cool. But she's put in, that effort to maintain our friendship. And I'm responding back because I'm like, oh, okay. So I see she actually cares about like having me in her life. And she's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, if you're ever in Georgia, let me know because that's where she's from. And we'll connect. So I appreciate that. But for the most part, I do think as you get older too, like, because even now when I look at my friend circle, a lot of my friends, they are new. So I have maybe like 4 friends that I've known for about 10 years plus, including you, maybe 5. Yeah. But then, the other friends that I have, I probably met them in the past like 2 years, and we're similar in a space where like we're going through the same things in life right now. Like we're trying to figure out relationships, job stuff, like our family dynamics are similar. Like there's something that gives us that tie
And
to
it's a
actually,
relation.
yeah, want to like get to know each other better. So I do appreciate those friends. And my birthday's coming up, March
Shout
3rd.
out to your birthday.
Yeah,
Pisces
to
season.
the Pisces out here. And I normally do a trip for my birthday, but because of the things that I want to do later this year, I'm like financially, it's not responsible for me to do a trip right now. So I'm gonna just wait. But the people that I did invite, because I'm doing like a day of relaxation, we're doing a spa, then we're doing like a K-pop dinner, like something real chill, which I invited you to, and
I'm still going to try to make it.
okay, we'll
Don't roll
see.
your eyes at me. I see you.
I won't hold my breath, but okay. Yeah, but the people that I invited, like I know that they will show up for me just based off of how I've shown up for them and the conversations that we've had. And the friends that I thought were friends from, 10 plus years that I've known them, they seem to just transition to social media friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a thing now where it's like you think that because you've known someone for so long, they should like support whatever content that you're putting out. But number one, they don't. So, don't have that assumption. And number two, I find it weird how like you're so in tune to my social media and constantly looking at my stories and stuff, but you can't make the time to like actually text me and call me.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't know each other in real life. So
Right.
I just find that strange.
And to piggyback off of that, because that's some real shit, especially us doing a podcast together. And I think it was 2024, our word of the year was support.
Yeah.
And seeing like people that we go above and beyond for, not necessarily liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting on our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little thing. In all honesty, that's a little thing. And it taught me a lot about me as a friend and them as a friend, right? And we talked about this previous episode where it's like your version of friendship is very specific and mine is different, right? Which is why I gave you that look earlier, because you're kind of turning the corner, coming on my way and recognizing like, yo, people are people. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I'm also turning the corner your way because it's like, I literally buy everybody's kids popcorn,
Mm-hmm.
right? The fundraiser popcorn, I buy it all, right? You write a book, I buy a book, I support it, I share
Mm-hmm.
it. Um, Not because I'm your friend, but because first and foremost, that's what's up. Like I fuck with that. Like congratulations.
And for me, it's like, because I started to think about this too, where, you may not expect your friend to, the full friend, air quotes, to support you, but is that low key being a hater if they don't?
I don't disagree.
Because if you truly think about it and the things that you've been through with these people, and you would just, because, like, you can't expect yourself from other people, which I understand, but
I told you that.
if I've ever called you a friend and like, if I know you're doing something as a business or whatever the case may be, that you're proud of, I'm going to support, I'm going to comment, I'm going to buy whatever
Hmm.
you're selling, even if I don't need it, because like I fuck with you. So I'm at a
Hmm.
space where I feel like it is low key being a hater.
The
I
only
don't,
way I the only way I don't agree is if that person has consistency to show that they don't do that elsewhere. But if you're
what
constantly
is
in somebody comments, if you constantly sharing shit, if you constantly on social media, look me out. Because that's what I would do for you.
okay?
And that's consistent to your behavior. If it's inconsistent to your behavior, I won't penalize you. Like
Mhm.
I have cousins, I got a group chat, right? 17 of us in a group chat. None of them are really on social media like that. So I'm not gonna be like, yo, you're a bad cousin because you're not posting my shit.
I'm not even talking about that though. I'm saying
I'm
like
just giving an example.
who are constantly looking at your stuff.
Hmm.
Like you know for a fact they're the first couple people on your stories.
Yep.
Um and it's
That'd be
like,
your friends.
yeah, like
I
it's
love
like
my friends.
I don't I don't really I wouldn't call you a friend anymore. In real life, it's like
Hmm.
you just don't support me as far as like the
Right.
social things that I'm posting because you know for a fact what sharing does, like a reshare. Like you
Hmm.
can't tell me in 2025, everybody on social media, TikTok, don't know what resharing a post does. Like it opens up just communication and like more
Hmm.
people seeing your stuff to potentially, give you more opportunity. So I don't know. I just low key think it's kind of fake and I don't like it.
You know, it reminds me of perceptions, right? When people don't know how to talk to people and they think, well, why are you getting offended by what I say? I'm just saying how I feel and I'm authentic and genuine in my honesty and earnesty. But you're being an asshole, right? I think a lot of people don't recognize what not doing something is the same as fucking me over. Like the perception of you not doing something for me is you're essentially saying, they'll be all right. Fuck it. It is what
It
it
depends
is.
on
And
what
it's
it is
not. That's
though.
fucked up.
Like doing something, if it does take you having to go outside and, drive somewhere and just be like that social person and like showing up for me at an event, like, okay, I can understand that. But a simple share on your phone, which takes 2 seconds and you can even delete it after a certain amount of time, like, I don't think that takes a lot of effort. Um, but I do think we could just go on talking about that for a while because, like, I do think relationships are dynamic and they're
Hmm.
constantly changing with different points in your life. But yeah, so one of the main things I do want to talk about though, since we are talking about social media, is people getting jobs based off their social media accounts.
Hmm.
I recently saw, I forgot, I should have saved it. I think it was either
Lauren LaRosa. No, let me stop. Go
no,
ahead.
not Laura
Continue.
LaRosa from the Breakfast Club, but I recently saw
Just like.
some actor. They were on a reel. It was the guy from Insecure that played Lawrence. What's his name?
But he was on Blue. He was on the game.
I don't know his name in real life though.
I know, but he was Blue on the game. He took Derwin's spot.
Okay. But he was the one saying he was being interviewed where someone asked him, how does he feel about actors getting roles based off their social media account?
Hmm.
And his response was like, he doesn't think it's right because that doesn't equate to talent. Like your social media account does not equate to you being um having those skills to actually like do the job. And I think that's fucking crazy, but I do feel like it's just going to get worse, which is why even being a social media influencer and content creator, a lot
Hmm.
of companies, they only want to partner with you based off your social media account. And recently, Honey, so, our mascot, like I reached out to Target, like I
Hmm.
DM'd them from his page because he got an Instagram and I was like, hey, do you guys have any, what was it, influencer partnerships for pets? And then they responded super quick and they gave me an email with information to reach out to. So I emailed the contact that they gave me, and the minimum is 10,000 followers in order for them to do. a partnership and like give you like different things to promote and stuff like that. And that's not the first time I've heard that with different companies, but I don't know if that's like something to really go off of because number one, it's like people buy followers all the time. So how do you know as a company that because they have 10,000 followers that once they start posting with your product, you're going to get that engagement too. Like even
Mm-hmm.
with us, with our Instagram, like we don't have a crazy amount of following, but we have that engagement, which is super high. Like we have
Mm-hmm.
multiple shorts on YouTube that's hit 1 million views, over 1,000 comments.
Mm-hmm.
So like the follower count, I don't think should be that big of a deal when it comes to partnerships.
So obviously, you know, I love Monique, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when she was going through her whole situation, they were saying to her, regardless of your skill as a thespian, an Academy Award winning actress, you don't bring in tickets. Whereas, what's the big girl, the white big girl? What's her name?
Amy Schumer,
Amy Schumer.
I
Amy
like.
Schumer can go to Madison Square Garden and she can get a couple thousand people and sell out Madison Square Garden. Can you do that? It's not about talent. It's about can you fill seats? Can you sell tickets? So while Blue or whatever his name is, Lawrence, is a great thespian for Insecure, is he going to do the same thing Snoop Dogg can do? Because
How
if
does
you put
that
Snoop Dogg on
relate?
Insecure, people are going to watch it.
How does that relate to? I'm talking about
It doesn't. It
up and
doesn't at
coming.
all.
Yeah, up and coming. Let's keep it at actors then. Up and
Mm-hmm.
coming actors, for example, because this is the entertainment industry, just being on social media if you want to be a content creator. So let's say someone who is brand new, right?
Mm-hmm.
They did not build up their following authentically. So meaning that these followers that they done brought, like they're not gonna engage on their social media. Like you're not gonna see they post a picture, you're not gonna see the thousands of comments or like
Mm-hmm.
10K likes. Like they just have that follower count. But a company, that's all they see. And let's talk about I don't want to talk about Monique because she's a pretty well known actor. But let's say who's
Just
her,
hilarious.
okay, just hilarious. I don't know how much
Less hilarious.
I don't know how many followers she got, but let's say this person, right? They have probably like 10K million followers inorganically. And it's between Just Hilarious and this person who
Mm-hmm.
like hypothetically Just Hilarious had like 100K, right? But she has this authentic following because
What she does, I give her credit.
yeah, she's constantly put out content and posts and people are interacting because it's funny or it's relatable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the other person gets the job over her
Mm-hmm.
just based off the follower count. And it's like the person don't even have like, they're not funny. They don't have that personality that like draws people in. It's just got the job based off the follower count. And I think like it's just going to get worse over time when it comes to like companies choosing who's who. And to bring it to relate it to freaking jobs, like being in the job market too, like looking for a job, like LinkedIn is
Mm-hmm.
really important. Like I want to say, because the way LinkedIn works is if you have over 500 connections, it'll say 500 plus connections instead of the exact amount. Like anything
Mm-hmm.
less than 500, it'll tell you the exact amount. Like companies, they ask you on these job applications, what's your LinkedIn profile? Because they're looking at your connections and who you're connected to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that also is kind of crazy because it's like, why does my network of people solidify my skill set of doing the job?
Because it's a meritocracy at the end of the day. Okay. I know a lot of society might not seem like it, but that same person with 10 million followers, you got to put in the work or none of that matters. You got 10 million followers all you want. I'll use comedy as an example. If you take Mojo Brooks, somebody I really enjoy as a comedian,
What was that?
he's the dude that always going to he do a skit with a woman that's his baby mama, end up having sex with her at the end of the skit. Right.
I never heard of him.
He's funny.
Mm.
If he has 10 million followers and somebody like DL Hughley has 10,000 followers, who's been on the circuit, everybody knows him, he's established, and you put both of them in a comedy arena. Nobody laughs at Mojo Brooks, and everybody laughs at DL Hughley. Two things is going to happen. You're going to boost DL Hughley's stock because you just brought in all these people to come see you and you sucked. And then you're going to lose stock because it's all about merit. It's all about what you're earning from us. We don't give a fuck about them followers outside of tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're going to bring them people in, we'll keep bringing you in too. But you're not going to be the headliner. You're going to be the opening act. You're going to be somebody that's just on the movie or on the team. You're going to be Bronny James, right? Because I know Bronny James is going to
That's
get
another
people.
thing. Yeah,
I know
like
he's going to get people to come see the game.
right. He may get people to come to the game because he's obviously, LeBron
LeBron's
James'
son.
son, but he did get demoted to G League because his skill set wasn't where they wanted
He
him
didn't
to
get
be.
demoted.
Okay, well, that's what they were saying on social media.
Don't listen to the social media.
Yeah,
You know what
and
we're talking about.
he's not in the G League no more.
He's doing both.
Oh, I don't even know. Is that a thing?
It is a thing.
Who else has done both besides
I don't
him?
know names, but Austin Reeves, who's his own teammate, was in the G League and in the NBA. So it happens. It happens a lot, honestly.
Okay.
But commence.
All right. Yeah. I just feel like when it comes to skill set, that should be prioritized over who you know or your follower count. Like that's the whole point.
But how do you determine that? If I know for a fact, and I'm only saying this from a factual perspective, that you can, even if you are trash, you are ass, an effective enough marketer for you to get people to come in and buy our product, why would I
So you
not take?
you determine that based off the history. So for example, when it comes to jobs specifically,
Mhm.
do look at like your previous jobs and the skills and the things that you've done and how it relates to whatever new job
I
that
could
you
lie
are
about that though.
applying for. Huh?
I could lie about that.
You can lie about that, but the thing with jobs too is a lot of the times you're gonna go through training.
Mhm.
So, and depending on how important the job is, for example, like working for the federal government, like you do have to give specific references and then they're going to call those references. So there is a preliminary process that you're going through for them to feel like if you are qualified for the job.
So let me ask you this question. If I put Dana down as a reference for me, what would you say for me?
What's the job you're going for?
Don't matter. You're gonna say positive things for me. You're gonna put me in a good light, especially if I say, "Hey, Dana, the federal government is gonna call you and ask me about me as a worker, a former coworker of yours. Look out for me." That's what I'm
Most,
gonna do.
most people do that for their references anyway. Like
So, what's
regardless,
the point of a reference?
that's just what's necessary. Like
Yeah, it's
usually
performative.
all the references, it is somebody that is a previous manager,
Mm-hmm.
especially like when you're talking about the federal government specifically, just because there were a couple applications that I applied for, like jobs that I applied for, and then once you know who took office, I got an email saying that the job is no
DEI is no longer.
literally, it was like the job is no longer offered. We're no longer hiring for these roles. So you're SOL. So I was like, all right, that's fine. Thankfully, I had other things lined up. But what they were looking for specifically was previous managers and coworkers. Like you had to have that down and then what job you knew them from. It couldn't just be like a friend. Like you can tell if someone's just your friend.
Mhm.
But for me, like I've been references before for people that I've worked with, and yes, I'm going to put you in a light so that you get the job. Like that's the way. So
Which
I'm
is,
not gonna say anything that's like detrimental to you not getting hired.
but it's honestly takes away from the whole idea of meritocracy. If I legitimately want a reference, right? So I tell people all the time, whether you work with me or just in passing, use me as a reference because the first thing I'm doing is I'm being honest. I'm going to highlight your strengths and I'm going to minimize your weaknesses. I'm going to tell everybody about what you're good at. If they ask me what your struggles are, I understand your struggles, and I'll be able to capitalize off of those struggles to make you not look like a horrible worker.
Right.
On the flip side, I'm only going to use managers of mine that I know value me. So at TJ Maxx, I work with a woman named Jen. I know for a fact that Jen loved me. Jen loved everything that I did for her. She would go to bat for me. She would look out for me every single time I do an application. Her name is on that.
That's the representation.
Suzanne,
You
I
don't
don't
put,
know if I'm gonna put
yeah,
Suzanne
you
on
don't
it.
put people that didn't really fuck with you. Like I've had
She fuck
like
with me, but it's
2 managers ago, I knew like, and I might have talked about him previously, like there was an underlining, like, I didn't fuck with you, you didn't fuck with me. Like whenever I needed like PTO or whatever, like my friend who was above him, like his manager, that's who I would talk to. Or whenever I had issues, like I would go above him and
which is fucked
it,
up.
I don't care because you showed me who you were when I first started. Like you gave me crazy energy and you was not approachable. So like I'm taking that as face value and that's who I'm going to be dealing with. So I'm not fucking with that if I really don't have to. But that person in particular, like in that job too, I did a lot of just project based things like globally. Right. Like I'm working with different people in different time zones and like a lot of projects for like the internal infrastructure of the company. So I'm not putting him as a manager. Okay. Like I'm putting the other two people who are above him and the person they like I fucked with them. They're going to be my reference. So again, like when it comes to your references, like be mindful of who you're putting down, even if they were a previous manager and you know that they might not talk about you in a high, in a good light, don't put them down. Okay.
So one of the suggestions that I have: put down references of niggas you fuck with, not just people that you work with. My boy Reggie, best friend in the world. I coached with him about 3-4 times. Guess
Mm-hmm.
what? He owns Pure Acceleration Track Club. Guess who's a reference on my fucking applications?
Of course.
Manager
Yeah, you
Reggie.
guys have,
But you
yeah.
have to have that conversation with somebody because you'll get a random call and be like, hey, Aaron said he worked with you in 2017. Tell me about
Nah,
him.
you
Like, you better
definitely
give him a heads
let
up.
them know. Yeah, you got to give them that heads up for sure.
But before we go, because we just had a good time today. I had a great time talking to you.
This was like
Um,
badass.
I really want to talk about AI. And I think AI is taking over. And not always in a good way, not always in a bad way. But I was listening to the Angel Reese podcast because I fuck with Angel Reese. And Cam Newton was basically saying how men are using AI to talk to women. Why do you make that face? Your whole demeanor just changed. How would you feel?
I'm listening. I'm listening.
How would you feel not knowing initially that a man was talking to you with AI and then eventually finding out?
Well, what do you mean by talking to me with AI? Like,
Like,
give
he's
me
hitting
the
you
picture.
up. I bet. I see your picture on Instagram. I send you an AI generated comment to compliment you. And that AI generated compliment works. And now all of a sudden you knee deep in a conversation with this nigga and his computer assistant.
I can already tell because let's say you get me based off that DM conversation. We already know how I feel about phone calls. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
we're going to get on the phone and we're going to talk. And I'm going to bring up, I usually reference like the conversation that we were having in the DM. Like, for example, if you're using this AI and I post, because I post a lot of like just health things and like things to help with your like holistic lifestyle or like even like fucking spirituality things, right? So let's say I post something based off like certain things that'll help with your skin. Okay. And then you respond with like, oh, these products I've read or I've tried have done wonders or whatever. You know shit about these products, but you know based off ChatGPT telling you. Um, so when we get on that phone call, I'm going to ask specifics. So you tell me about like these under eye patches that'll help you clear up your dark circles. I'm going to be like, well, what were the ingredients? How often did you use them? Who put you on? Where did you buy it? Like, if you can't tell me in a matter of like a conversation flow, and you're taking a while to respond because you're looking it up, then I'm gonna know.
That's on a phone call. Now, as someone like me, who make it abundantly clear, hey, I'm not a phone person. I prefer to
I'm not
text.
talking. I'm not talking. That
That's you.
literally happened recently.
Okay. Now let's say it's a
Yeah.
woman that also is I'm inclined to text because I'm busy, I'm constantly on the go, and you meet my fancy as a texter. How would you then respond?
Well, I can't relate.
If a
um,
woman was to respond to me in kind, what I would do is fall for it because you're meeting me with the conversational level that I'm seeking. Like I like to be drawn into an abundance and
mhm.
entertain me, teach
Do
me.
you feel like you would know if they were? Because I don't think you would know. To be honest, because
Would
you
I
can
care?
right, but you can ask for the response on ChatGPT to give it a more human feel, or like
Hmm.
respond as
Oh, you've
some
done this before.
interested. Now, I know how to use ChatGPT. That's why. Like, you have to be real specific. So if like a woman is talking to you about poetry, for example,
Hmm.
right? And she's really like laying it on thick and you're like, oh damn, like, okay, like I like the way she's talking to me.
Hmm.
She can literally put in like, give me a um poem about intimacy and make it sound like this is from a Black woman who is into men, who also likes poetry and open mic. Like, you can put all that in.
Hmm.
So yeah, you probably fall for it, but then it's like, I don't know, because I be thinking like down the line, because let's say y'all do now get into that in person, relationship, and you're expecting her to still be like that, and you don't feel that. If you don't care, then okay, yeah, you're fine. But I don't know. She
And
may
I
even
think that I think you just hit the nail on the fucking head. Like in person versus in text is a whole different animal. Like when you meet a woman and you feel her and you experience her,
Mhm.
it's like, who the fuck was I texting? Because it could also go the other way.
You don't even gotta be with a chat GPT, because it's like
It's in
that
general. Yeah,
in
yeah.
general. Yeah, like I've met people who in person, I just knew for a fact I was never going out on another date.
Mhm.
And that's because some people are better texters, some people are better on the phone, but they lack that confidence to be that in person, or vice versa, where their text communication is trash. Cause I know mine
Mhm.
isn't that great. Like, if you're giving me one word answers, I'm either giving you that or I'm not responding at all. But then in person, like, we're going to have a fucking blast, period.
So can I ask you a question? Have you
Yeah.
met a man
Okay.
that has game? Now, to define game for those who don't know game, that's the rap, that's the talk, that's the way to get you
Um,
into a state of interest just based off of what I talk to you about, how I make you feel. Have you met a man that not just has game from a speaking perspective and getting your attention, but to maintain your attention?
I have. I've met a few. Yeah.
Okay. How does that differentiate from those who might text a good game, but they don't talk a good game?
The difference is just, I think, like I said, the lack of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I've gotten in person, it's like, and I hate to just always talk about me, but I've got this a lot where, like, I'm just not approachable, or I got like a certain face. And it's like, just because I look a certain way, when you start talking to me, you bring out that
Mm-hmm.
personality. Like, for me, just having conversations, like, I can, show my personality and we can have a good time. But if off the bat, I'm just getting like, I don't know, you're just like kind of timid and don't really want to hold a conversation, or I feel like I'm pulling the conversation out of you instead of it just flowing. But I think that goes with just the energy. Like, I think
Mhm.
your energy and aura will speak before you even say anything. So if your energy and aura for me is just like, it just feels off and I can't put my finger on it. And then we get to talking and it gets worse. Like, I just know you're not, we're not in tune as far as, like our, I don't even want to say energy. I hate saying that shit all the time, but just our like level of frequency. You know what I mean?
I
So
do, but I also think realistically, sometimes women can be intimidating, right? Like sometimes I might have met the girl of my fucking dreams. It's not just easy to just flip that switch from the same way I talk to any girl I'm trying to get some ass from. And now I have this girl that I can see a future with, right? So it's
mhm.
like, damn, hold on, my rap gotta change. Like I'm not just trying to spend a night with you. I'm trying to spend a life with you. So I have to learn how to speak to you. You see that, right? Yeah, that was good. That was a good shit.
Kind of
But
flows. But then, okay, my question for you then is,
mhm.
how do we always end up in a relationship conversation? Like, that's how
It's
I like.
because it's real life. Love
It's
is real.
life, but it's like it's just so many. The way I look at it, it's like just so much going on that. But I also think now, I'm gonna answer your question, but I think
Mhm.
now, like and it goes back to like the emotional and logical thinking. Like for me now, you can really make time for everything. Like you can make
I don't
time
agree.
I agree. Like you can make time for your love life while simultaneously making time for your business and career. Like it's all about balance. And I do feel like there was a point where I was just very off balance, where I was just like full force career and like, yeah, I'm gonna talk to you. If we fall off, like I really don't care that much based off, the other person's energy they're putting into me too. But I think if you are intentionally putting out that you want to make space for another person while you're working towards your goals with your career and stuff like that, you will get that. And for me, it's like, but there's levels to it too. Like if you're
Mhm.
just like broke on somebody's couch, then you need to focus on your career, like for real, for real. But yeah, I know you said like, oh, everyone deserves love, which they do. I'm not taking that away, but I'm also saying that like your priorities needs to be get yourself together and then, bring someone else in. Like you can't just automatically assume that like, all right, you have to accept me even though I don't even got like two pennies. Like no, they don't
Mhm.
have to accept you. But for
No,
me,
they,
like
they
where I'm
should.
in this space right now, like I'm just making it known that like I can, because when you're in a relationship too, like you're gonna always have work. Like work is not going
Mhm.
anywhere. So how are you supposed to have a relationship and work if you can't figure out how to balance the two now?
Mhm. I look at life as expectation versus non-expectation, right? Everyone doesn't require an expectation. Like I don't need you to be this Prince Charming. I don't need you to be a partner. I don't need you to be an assistance in my happiness. Sometimes I just need you to be you. I don't have an expectation for you. Now,
Hmm.
when I start creating expectations, that's when those two pennies matter. That's when seeing you matters. That's when going out and spending time and growing and
But
loving matters.
I think both people have to be equally yoked. Like you have to both put in that
If you
intention.
want
Or,
expectations, yes.
yeah, if you have expectations, like me as a woman, I'm expecting you to, be that provider, but also at the same time, um, have a place where we can just hang out at, like have your own space. But
So
then,
is happiness an end goal for you? I'm just asking, just in general.
yeah, happiness is always, at least for me, like
Mhm.
whatever it is I'm doing, like I have to get some level of happiness out there. But then when it comes to like expectations and dating too, like because I know where a lot of people's headspace are with dating right now, and for me, like I don't have any expectations. Like I'm not expecting even someone that I'm talking to, like I'm not expecting you to constantly like have dates planned or like text me all the time. Like I'm not expecting any of that. But
But
when you do start putting in that effort, right? Like you're showing me that you want me in your life in some capacity. So you are checking in and you're be like, when are you free? You're making that effort to have time for me.
What makes a change though? Like, why did you change your expectations when they simply just acted accordingly, right? They didn't
I think it
necessarily tell
was-
you to have expectations.
yeah, the expectations happened and it didn't happen right away. Like it happens as you're spending time with somebody, you're building that up. Like I think once you start to focus on one person, and I know how I am, like I can only control myself. So I'm not
Mhm.
talking about that. I'm saying for me, if I'm constantly spending time with you, you're making time for me, it's like, all right, now we're building something together.
Or,
Or what?
or now you're building something in your mind.
No. Because if you have a conversation, right?
If you
And
have a you didn't add that. That's an additive.
you can
Don't
talk
do
about
that.
like real specific. But if I'm talking about building, we had those conversations. And I'm gonna have those conversations in the beginning.
I slightly disagree, not with you personally, but with the general sense of the conversation. I think a lot of people create that system of build and
And that's
expectation
both
based
expectation
on want to.
and fantasy and growth
Yes, it's
neglect.
delusion.
That's what I
You can
was
use the
talking
word
before. Yeah.
delusion, and
Delusion.
it's okay to be delusional, but
It's
as long as we are, no, it's okay.
not
Most
a
of us are. Most of us are delusional. Most of us have this idea that something's going to go a certain way based off of the things that
I
we've
think
created.
delusional in different situations matter. Because I think when it comes to your own personal growth and your success, being delusional is important. Like you have to
It's
be,
important.
it's important. Yeah. Because if you can see and visualize and be a visionary of, for example, me with trading, right? Like
Hmm?
I already know where this is going to take me. Okay. Like I know what my bank account is now. I know where it can be. So that's a sense of delusion because I am
Hmm.
seeing something that's not there. So it's like I'm bringing it to fruition visually, but then you have to now physically bring it out. So when it comes to relationships though, like, but I'm controlling myself. Like this is my own
Hmm.
delusion. When it
Yeah.
comes to relationships and you're being delusional about somebody else and expecting things from them, it's like you need to come back to reality because that's,
No.
yeah,
You had it. You was literally like spot on. I was literally gonna tip my cap because you tied it into trading and you said I'm delusional because it is what it is. If it works, I'm assuming it's gonna work. I got full faith that it's gonna work. And if it doesn't, it is what it
hey,
is.
keyword.
But the
Hey,
relationships work the same way.
where's Marva at? We need to ding. We'll go ahead.
Relationships work the same way. And honestly, I think you've just changed my mind on the concept of delusion just
Mm-hmm.
by associating with trading
Mm-hmm.
because it's like it's not supposed to work. All the odds are against it. It's a gamble. It's a
Yeah.
risk. But
It's a
if
gamble and risk, but there's strategy there
exactly,
to bring it back to the look at us tie shit together.
that was
But
all you. I'm gonna give you a credit. I'm gonna give you a credit because that was good. That was some. That
yeah,
was some podcasting right there. You was a fucking podcast.
I'm a fucking podcaster. That's what we hear.
All right,
um,
we ain't gonna overshare too much with
yeah,
these
we're not
people.
gonna overshare. We've been here for about an hour and 16 minutes, but it's the conversation is just flowing. But I gotta use that. Um, yeah, to bring it back to relationships and the strategy because there be different levels of relationships. I'm watching Ready to Love season 10. They're
10.
in
I didn't even watch season one
really, it's the one with Tommy, neighborhood Tommy. Have you seen
from
Ready?
Steve Harvey show.
Yes.
Okay, I'm
So
writing notes.
on dating shows is my shit. I'm watching Love is Blind right now. I think Married at First Sight is better than Love is Blind, and also
I'm
the
gonna
ultimate
watch it.
is way better than everything. But that's just my personal take. But Ready to
What's
Love,
the last one you said?
the Ultimatum.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on Netflix. That one, so good. Yeah, check those out. Let me know your thoughts. We could talk about them. But Love is Blind is happening right now. They're on season 8, I believe, and
Mm-hmm.
they already dropped, I think, 8 episodes. So Friday, the last episode. Anyway, Ready to Love. They're currently in Philly, right? So there's this one guy on there specifically who, like, I recently watched a review for Jessie Woo. You know who she is?
No.
Okay. So she's like a content creator, personality. She does reaction videos. She has a podcast. She's fun to watch. Like, she's definitely entertaining. But she did a review that I watched earlier on Ready to Love. And she was talking about the batch of men on there. And like this one guy, he had, there's two guys I want to highlight. There's one guy on there, he has 3 baby mothers and 5 kids. Now he's on there Ready to Love. There's another guy on there, he was divorced twice and he got married when his mother died. He got married to his girlfriend, and then that marriage lasted for a year. His father died. Same thing happened. Got married to his girlfriend. Marriage lasted for a year. Now he's on the show. So the big red flags, number one with the first guy, is like, she was like, you had 3 opportunities to build a family with your 3 different baby mothers. You've had 5 children. None of them worked out. And now you're on here Ready to Love.
Yep.
And then, so for him specifically, I can agree because, like, I don't agree with people who say, I don't want to, he clearly is ready to get married because this is the point of the show. Like, you get married on the show. So it's like, how is having how is marriage a bigger commitment than having a child? Like, I don't agree to that. And
I
then
do.
we're going to get your, okay, we can talk about it then. Go ahead.
Because having a child is easy. I'm not saying it's easy from a relationship perspective, but from a father to a child or a mother to a child, this is a lot easier than a father to a mother to a father. You have different dynamics that you have to go through, schooling, discipline, all these mental hurdles as a parent versus as a relationship to a child. So it is a little bit more difficult, in my opinion, to actually have that partner with you than it is to have a
How do you,
relationship with your child.
how does that work if in the beginning stages of the person, let's say a woman that you no longer want to be with, and
Mm-hmm.
now, you have a child with her and she's making it hard for you to see
Mm-hmm.
your child you have together because she still wanted that relationship with you. Now you're dealing with the child supports, you're dealing with
Mm-hmm.
someone being selfish and their feelings are first before the child, right? And it's just creating stress and chaos in your current relationship. And then for any other relationship you try to build, the other person is also feeling those effects too.
Yep. It's no argument, honestly, because that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
You're going to take in that stress, you're going to take in that heartache, that aggravation, and you're going to bring it to other relationships. So
And
now that's forward communication, right? So, hey, I'm bringing you my trauma. If you and me are going to be together, this previous relationship is now trauma. It's baggage that I'm bringing with me.
that was the issue on the show where
Mm-hmm.
one of the ladies asked the guy, she was like, well, how's your relationship with your baby mothers? Like, is there drama? And he was like, yeah, there's a little bit of drama. So that instantly was like red flag
It
to
could be.
majority of the women because it's like, you're on this show for love. You put it out there that they know they're walking into some drama with previous relationships that you've had. And then I don't know if they've had these conversations, but it's like, well, what is the accountability on your part? Like, can you take accountability and talk
Mm-hmm.
about things that you've done wrong? Because I think
Mm-hmm.
that's an important characteristic too. Like, as a man, if you can say like certain things that you dropped the ball on or could have done better, then maybe it'll make a woman want to,
Most of the time it will. I'll give you realistic situations from my life, right?
just saying,
No.
me,
I get
I
you.
would never, but go ahead.
But a lot of women recognize that men are very erratic in their adolescence, their post adolescence, their early 20s, right? You do shit just because I'm a man. I don't think it's going to happen this way, and shit go wrong. By the time you get to your 30s, your 40s, you should be a little bit more self aware, right? You know what your shortcomings are. You know what your opportunities are. So if you're constantly making those same mistakes, that is more of a red flag than, hey, I'm addressing those previous mistakes and I'm doing better the next time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give full transparency to our coworkers because that's what we're here for, right? My shortcomings with Jaden don't exist for Nori and Ali. Not all of them. Some of them still do. But those would be character flaws. The things that I still fuck up with now, those are things that I'm going to constantly fuck up with. Those are things that I'm going to constantly have an issue with. So if you want to love me, you need to recognize that this comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you see a turning point of maturity, this is always going to be a thing, right? And that's what those women on that show could recognize. Like, all right, you got 5 children, 3 baby moms. What's the consistency?
Well,
If
he's
you
still,
consistently fuck up with this, you're
yeah,
gonna consistently fuck up with it.
because the way the show works is the group of women, like if no one has a connection with him, they all vote him off. So he's
Mm-hmm.
still on the show. He's been through, I
Because
think,
he's a
point
quality guy in some
different,
capacity.
to some capacity, I guess, but he's been through 2 different elimination rounds where, I think he's gonna go home in the next one coming up, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll, yeah. So I just feel like his dynamic is just, it's a lot being on that show in particular because there are other men who don't have that level of baggage. And it's like, that just doesn't make a woman want to be like
Mm-hmm.
more stress into her life, especially coming from a woman like me who have
Don't have that stress.
my own space of peace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is literally like my baby. Like
Yeah.
if you have anything about yourself that you're not either working on or even like with the baby moms and the children, like you can't change that at this point. Right. So for me, it's a hard hell no to put myself in that situation.
You know, I know last time we did the podcast, we started really getting into the whole pop the balloon dating show.
You still watch that?
I do. I watch
Me
every
too.
week, Wednesday.
Me too. I'm
Um,
actually, I get a notification.
One of the things that I always ask questions about is, are red flags red flags, right? And when people have children, they constantly pop, right? Because
Mhm.
with all the respect, I don't really want to deal with nobody with no kids.
But it's always a negative connotation too. Like when it comes to dealing with people
Mm-hmm.
with children. Um, for me, I want to say it's like a personal thing that I've seen. Like I know there's women in my family who are
Mm-hmm.
single mothers, and I've seen what comes with it firsthand. So that also may be the reason why people with children or people who don't have kids are not that inclined to deal with other people with children. But then it also comes with just that flexibility too, to just get up and go. Because everybody always says on the show, I like to travel. I
I
like to
hate that
like,
shit
like y'all don't have nothing else to talk about that you like to do. Like that shit is so general to me.
because they want to get a nigga to fly them out.
That's what
To
I be
smooth
thinking.
out and screwed out.
That's literally what I be thinking. I'm like, you want somebody to pay for your trip. That's
To me,
why.
that's a red flag.
As a guy, I'm sure it is. But yeah, I would say just like with people with children who don't have kids, it could just be like a personal thing that they've seen and they just don't want to bring that into their lives. Um, but
I don't mean to tie this into the workforce, but as a hirer, I actually think kids is a red flag also.
why is that? I kind of know why, but I want to hear your thoughts.
Because I feel like they're constantly taking off. Little nigga got the snuffles. He can't go to school. And it's like, yo, I got projects I need done. My district manager's beating down my back. I got so much shit to do, and you got to call out of work because little Jimmy got a cold, pink eye.
Yeah.
You better take his ass to school.
Apparently now a lot of millennials are opting out of having children. But I think that has to do with the economy as a
Mm-hmm.
whole. But then on top of the relationships and dating environment nowadays, I think that also is a reason. I would say for me, like, because someone recently asked me who I was talking to, they were like, do you want to have kids? Right? Like, because I am about to be 31, like, I'm single.
Old as hell.
And I'm not old. You see how I look? People be surprised when I tell them I'm 30. They be like, I
That's
thought
because you ain't
you
got no
you
stress.
just graduated college. And I'm like, no, but thank you. I know. This is what peace looks like. But I mean, Anyway, yeah, so back to the question. He was like, do you want kids? And I'm like, I never answered that in a yes or no response. Like my response was, um, the first thing I said was kind of harsh, and then I had to, sort of.
Fuck them kids.
And I didn't say that, but I was like, I haven't met anyone I would want to have their children with. So, he was like, why is that? And I was like, well, for one, like, I just have to know that because I truly don't want to put my past
Future
traumas
children.
onto my children. Like that's
Hmm.
something that I'm big on. And there's just a lot of things that I've realized growing up that I've dealt with that I kind of want to work on and go to therapy and stuff like that. But not only that, like it's the person that you end up
Hmm.
having a child with. Like you truly have to know them in different environments, which I think takes time, whether it's traveling, disagreements, how they are with their family. Mm, I guess with my family too, but you have to be respectable. I don't take my family's opinion though as like the end all be all of who I'm going to end up with because I feel like they trust my judgment to a point where if they know I'm introducing you to my family, they're like, okay, yeah, they're probably somebody worth,
Hmm.
being around or whatever. But yes, like I want to know the qualities about you and different
Hmm.
things that you have to offer that I would want to pass down to a child. So for me, it's always been like that communication and your conflict resolution skills. Like
Hmm.
if they're trash, that's it.
I think I messed up. I think when my first son's mom and I were together, we went to this like event, and all the kids in my family were together, and I was being such a great uncle and ambassador to these kids, and I
Mhm.
just showed her how great I am with kids, and I gave her that like, if I have a kid with this guy, it'll be okay. I probably should have been an asshole. Because if I
Mhm.
would have been an
Is
asshole,
this
she'd
the
be like,
only qualifier though?
I was always a great guy. Like I've never been the type of dude that you would be around and you'd be like, yo, he's probably bad with kids or bad with me,
Yeah.
right? So it's like how a man treats a woman goes a long way in terms
Mhm.
of how I would want to see you as a parent.
Mhm.
Now I can't speak for everybody because some niggas show, not niggas, some men show very insignificant traits when it comes to child rearing, just general attentiveness. Like if I leave my kid with you for 5 hours, do I feel comfortable with you?
Mhm.
Like those little things
Yeah, it's a
go
big little
such a long
thing
way.
that you got to pay attention to, and like even
And the
when
same way for women. Like it's some women. Like, do I want to leave my
wait,
child to be
yeah,
raised
I
by you?
I think we should generalize it because I don't want to do that whole women versus men conversation.
I don't want to make it women versus men, but I think the idea of nurturing is more natural to a woman in
It
general.
is. It
So
is.
I don't want to poo poo that because that's a real thing. Like
No,
just the way a woman holds a baby is just different than the way a man holds a
it
baby.
is. It definitely is. And I do feel like most women naturally show that nurturing um characteristic about them. Like
Mm-hmm.
even for me, like I don't have children, but when it comes to like my little cousin,
Honey,
honey, yo, that's like a turn on to guys, which I think is kind of crazy.
that
Like
is great.
the fact that because I be doing the most with honey. Like he's in daycare. I make sure he's up to date on his shots. He got
Bitch, you
vaccinated.
gonna make a
And
great wife, man. Make
yeah,
sure you
they be
take care of
like,
that
I heard
dog.
that before. Somebody was like, they were like, you really care for your dog, and like that's attractive. And I'm like, thanks. But not if I was a mom, like I'd be a dope ass mom, and I already know that. And it's not even delusion. It's just like how I know I am as a person. Like I just know myself to the point where in different situations I know how I would react. But that took a lot of like, like self work and stuff like that. So yeah. Okay, so we need to end this here though, because it's been an hour and 30 minutes. We're gonna end with our happy hour moments, which this has been something we've always done, and it's just something we want to highlight that we are looking forward to, or something that has already happened. So, Aaron, give us a happy hour moment. Close out.
My happy hour moment is honestly related to what we just talked about. that system of nurturing, that system of maternity. My mom, shout out to my mother, she really came through for me. Just having a new baby, just being there for me, being somebody that I can rely on to give me essentially 24/7 coverage for if we needed somebody to come take care of him, somebody to watch him, someone to babysit him, someone to just be a grandma. You know, I don't ever want to be a grandpa no time soon. But what I realized about being a grandparent, and me and Dana both, we adore our grandparents, is just that sense of difference. Like, it's so much different being a grandmother or grandfather than being a mother or father. Like, it's fun.
Yeah.
Like, I watch my mother able to have fun with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to watch my mother just not have that stress of being taking care of you. Like, I
Yeah.
can just
And I
love you
think
for you.
that's the little things too. Like maybe I'll be fortunate enough when I am your mother's age or, in my 70s to have grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I think that small thing in life is so monumental because like, how does it feel being a grandparent? And
Mm-hmm.
my grandmother, she's about to be a great, great grandmother, which
Man,
is
7 times.
crazy. Yeah, Gen Z having a child,
Mm-hmm.
which is a Gen Alpha. This shit is just mind.
Is that a thing?
Yeah. So it's Gen Z, Alphas, and then Betas. That's the next generations. Crazy. But I'm so grateful and thankful for my grandmother. And shout out to your mother. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's
Shout out to her. Like, thank you, because just being able to go to work with the peace of mind that I don't have to run home. If Nori's sick, I don't have to necessarily take off for work. If Ali's sick, she got him. She's taking care of him. Everything is good. Like, it goes a long way, especially parenting in the new, I don't want to say millennium because we're kind of past that, but in this millennial space where it's like we're able to continue to do the work that we want to do and strive and achieve and grow.
Mhm.
So shout out to her. Thank you for that. Like, I truly appreciate it.
Shout out to your mom. That's amazing. My happy hour moment. I want to say my happy hour moment is the new friendships and relationships that I have been cultivating and people who have been pouring into me. Like, I appreciate y'all so much. One main person in particular is Lori. We had her on the show, the crystals, bracelets,
Mm-hmm.
and today's actually her birthday. So happy birthday, Lori. Shout out to you. We went out last Friday, me, her, Chloe, and we went to Brooklyn. So we went to showcases, ballads and what is it? Ballads and bottles. Yeah, he had an R&B night, and it was dope. Like it was
Another
freezing
friend of the
cold.
pod.
Yes, so he was actually our
The
last
last episode.
the last episode we did. So guys, check out that episode if you want to know more about Showcase. Amazing international DJ. Him and his co-DJ Figerian, their duo, but their transitions with their shows are I've never seen it. So yeah, but shout out to Lori, shout out to all the other friends that I feel like have been pouring into me lately. Especially during a time where I truly needed those words of confidence, just what I was going through mentally. And another happy hour moment is I'm looking forward to March. Like I'm looking forward to March and the rest of the
I
year.
wonder why.
Not, you know what's crazy? Regardless of what's going on in my life, whenever March hits, like that's like my time of the year where
It's your
things
reset.
that's my reset. That it just falls into place. Number one, because of the threes. Like, my angel number is 3, and my birthday is the 3rd. So for me, that has a very significant importance in my life where it's just a time where things flourish and prosper. So I've realized that in the past few years. So I'm looking forward to March and all the great things that it has in store for me financially, spiritually, emotionally, and with my dating life because yeah, it still need a little bit of help, but we getting through it.
I thought we talked about your dating life as in fuck that. We good, we straight, we
I'm
Gucci.
good. I'm always gonna be good, but
Exactly.
you do need a partner. Like, I don't want to sit here and act like we don't need each other. Like, that is such a false thing that I don't necessarily like, where I see just over independence of women. Like, it's important to be independent. I get that. And, you don't want to force connections and things along those lines. But I do feel like ultimately we need each other. That's how I just feel internally. So, yeah, like, hopefully,
I agree. As someone that is fostering a better relationship with my partner,
yeah.
uh,
So hopefully this year brings that for me. If not, I always feel like I'm on God's timing, not my own personal timing. So I've also learned patience in these past few months, where patience enough to understand that we are on God's timing. Hold on. Oh, okay, yeah. We need each other. Hashtag WOEW. Yeah. Love that. But yeah, I do think you need to plant your seeds and set your foundation, and then it does take God's timing to show, those seeds flourish. So that's also
facts.
something that I've learned in these past few months.
But don't let no man sow his royal oats. Okay, that's not what we doing. All right,
You said what?
just sow his royal oats.
What does that
That
mean?
means he's just putting his seed anywhere. We don't have time for that.
We don't listen, okay? We don't do that over
Okay.
here. All right. Like, I know how low hanging fruit is easy to get and taste
Mm-hmm.
and XYZ, but she on the top of the tree. All right.
Exactly. Talk that shit.
Talking that talk. So,
But if anybody else wants to talk, they talk. And join us in this illustrious space where you
yes,
can edit your background.
we got
You can
virtual.
always join us at WOAWpod@gmail.com.
Yes, guys. So, we
And with
coming to
that
you
said,
every
oh shit.
week. Hold on. Because since this is the first episode, we're coming back every week now. We're coming in hot, disciplined, and
Mm-hmm.
ready to take our spot in
With
this.
no kids interacting and interrupting the goddamn show.
Yeah.
Because me and
So,
Ashima gonna have a conversation.
yeah, but we're excited. We're excited to be back for you guys and just, have our conversations the way we used to, and have our guests come on because they
Mm-hmm.
be having stuff to say. We've had people reach out asking, when we can record with them. We've been on a hiatus, but we back. So we're gonna
We
have our
back.
guests come on and talk to you as well.
And honestly, we back and we outside.
We outside. Hey. All right. Bye, coworkers.